This is the future.
Quick question before we start the video. Do you like what you see about the upcoming Warframe in the Angels of Zariman update named Gyre? Are you excited to play the Warframe? What are your thoughts about her kit? Is she good in high-level plays? You can answer all these questions in the comment section below later, but for now, listen to what I have to say about the upcoming Warframe, as it might help you understand the frame and have an idea of how to mod her. The most unique thing about this new Warframe is her passive, in my opinion, as his passive will allow her abilities to have a 10% chance to deal critical damage for each electricity status effect stack that affects the enemy. Assuming that the electric proc of this Warframe is great, as DE said that it's mainly focus on a crit-based AoE electric zapping theme, then just imagine the critical damage you will dish out in just a few single cast of her abilities. Just think of this: Gyre can group enemies and then cast a ball that damage them and proc electric. Take note that each electric stack gives the chance to proc critical damage. We don't know how much critical damage will be dealt to enemies, but I'm really excited with this since electric procs does stack rapidly when it hits the same enemies. It's like this was the feature that is missing with Volt to finally become the AoE electric nuker that he dreamed for so long now. Sadly, there's no way we can give this kind of feature to Volt, as it's stuck with Gyre's passive, and not on the subsume ability of this Warframe. Speaking of Helminth, her second ability, called Coil Horizon, will be the one that we can subsume to other Warframes. What this ability does is allow Gyre, or any other Warframes when you decide to subsume it, to throw sphere in an arcing trajectory toward the aiming reticle. The Coil Horizon sphere is a physics-based object that rebounds against surfaces and obstacles during its lifetime of 2 seconds, after which an electromagnetic implosion occurs spanning a 12-meter radius, and probably can get wider, as I assume that this ability will scale with range mods. Also, enemies are inflicted 1500 electricity damage per second, and I'm guessing the damaged part will scale with power strength mods. Also, enemies within the implosion are rapidly pulled into its center and 1250 electricity damage while active. Coil Horizon's implosion can be manually triggered by pressing the ability key again. The implosion can damage and break destructible objects, while the vacuum effect also draws in nearby pickups. So, it's not just a grouping ability, but also can be used as some sort of mag pulls with the greedy pull augment, or even Vauban's Vortex. It probably works like Vauban's Vortex, but it has some physics on it, and instead of magnetic, it deals electric damage. In my opinion, this is a plus ability to Gyre. You see, electric damage may not matter at all to you guys, as Slash and Viral are the meta, but once you group up enemies, it scales better, and the damage ramps up quickly. I'm excited about how much damage you can pull off with Gyre's ability using Coil Horizon as a grouping mechanic, but I don't want to overhype myself, since I'm also curious about how well will this ability scale with range. If they somehow give decent range scaling like Vortex, or any other grouping abilities that are in the Helminth, then this will be very good for Gyre. But if the range is mediocre, then the electric damage will somehow be mediocre at best and won't scale well against high-level enemies. Good thing is, Gyre can pair Coil Horizon with her first ability, and I'm assuming that this will be the group and nuke electric damage combo for her. Arc Sphere, which is the first ability, will allow you to throw a sphere in an arcing trajectory toward the aiming reticle. On impact with a surface, the arc sphere becomes stationary and deploys its electric field up to a radius of 2000 electricity damage to all enemies in range, and will possibly be no better with power strength mods. Surviving enemies are shocked by 250 electricity damage per second while they remain in the electric field. Damage is enhanced by an amount if at least 3 enemies are hit by the initial impact. The deployed arcs lasts 10 seconds or longer with a duration mod. The number of active arc spheres is shown on the ability icon. Also, this ability can be recast while active to throw and deploy new arc spheres. Assuming that Coil Horizon has great range and can group multiple enemies, then, you throw this ability to that area wherein enemies are grouped by your second ability. That will allow you to ramp up electric procs faster, and mind you, Gyre's passive is also working while this is happening, allowing you to gain more electric damage on it. This will be super fun with Corpus factions, and probably will be interesting to use in other factions like heavily armored units. The next ability is probably the one that will allow you to cast her other abilities for as long as you want, as it gives out energy regen per second in a set duration that can be prolonged with duration mods possibly. It also gives out critical chance bonus, and for each enemy killed by Gyre while active, Cathode Grace's remaining duration is extended 3 seconds. Additional to the energy cost requirement, casting the ability triggers a 60 seconds cooldown before the next activation is allowed, and the ability's cooldown initiates immediately when Cathode Grace's duration timer begins its countdown, which I consider to be the biggest problem of this ability. To maintain the critical chance and energy regen buff, you need to kill enemies fast. While I don't see it a problem, since energy regen will be so much better with their Xenuric focus on Angels of Zariman update, but if the critical chance buff scales madly, like it can give us 150% or more, then it could somehow be additive to other critical chance buff and works on weapons and some abilities. Then we might as well consider of maintaining Cathode Grace with Gyre. That seems so simple if you take a look at it. The ability does look like Valkyria's Warcry, wherein you can prolong the armor and speed buff if you kill enemies. I'm just hoping that Gyre's ability will help out deal decent damage as looking Gyre right now. The only survivability she has is through crowd control. While this is not a big issue in normal start chart, this would be a problem against high-level enemies, especially with the Eximus Reborn units that will not be affected by crowd control abilities. Maybe somehow, Digital Extremes will make an exemption for Gyre, I think, because if this happens, then I can see myself casting her abilities not to kill enemies, but only to survive enemies in higher level missions. All I'm saying is, that her crowd control should be very good to keep her alive in higher level missions and so that we can enjoy her power. If not crowd control, then the damage part of the group and nuke combo, since anyway, the best crowd control in Warframe is seeing no one standing after you can an ability or hit them with your weapons. And lastly, let's discuss her final ability called Rotiswell. The ability is simple. When Gyre's skirt goes up, enemies go down. Well, that's a joke from the recent dev stream, but what Rotiswell does is let Gyre overcharge her coil gown as its rotors gyrate rapidly and conductor plates lift apart to grant her a percentage of movement speed bonus. A sustained radial electrical surge contained within a ring of gyral blocks surrounds Gyre, shocking all enemies within a radius of 4 meters around her to inflict 250 electricity damage, which I think will scale with both range and power strength mods respectively. While active, each critical hit from Gyre's weapons and abilities on her targeted enemies will trigger an electrical discharge that forks outward, striking all other enemies within a radius of 10 meters around each critically hit the target to inflict 500 electricity damage. Rotiswell lasts for 22 seconds, and it can be increased by duration mods. Now, I just don't know how good her signature weapon is, as clearly it will work well with her ultimate ability, but I'm seeing this also works with other weapons in the game like Amperex. Also, take note that the requirement is hitting critical hits from weapons and Gyre's abilities, so this means that not only does it contributes to the group and nuke setup which her first and second ability offers, but we might actually see AoE weapons with high crit being used with Gyre to deal electric procs, and somehow give another form of crowd control to this Warframe. I have never felt so excited about a Warframe before, and I really can't wait to try out Gyre in the Angels of Zariman update. I have this same feeling with Harrow, as in my opinion, Gyre's kit is well built together and they do synergy pretty well with each other. Now, I know some of you will say that I'm just overreacting to stuff since the Warframe is not even out yet, but, through experience and thousands of hours playing in Warframe, you sometimes are aware of how something will work in the game even if they are not released yet. Just by looking at the abilities of Gyre, I can see massive potential in this Warframe. It's like this is the kind of synergy that Nuking Vault wants but can't achieve. But, there's more to Gyre than just nuking. Her kit is exceptional in my opinion, and quite interesting since she got all the tools needed to make her primary elemental damage do decent damage to higher level enemies. Just imagine pairing Viral on the group and nuke combo just by using a weapon, and you'll turn a field into dust just like how Viral electric proboscis and O's would work. However, fingers crossed, I just hope that Digital Extremes will not be messed up how much range Gyre can operate, since that will be the biggest factor in making everything in her kit work. I just hope that they don't give her mediocre range scaling so we can enjoy this Warframe's power without worrying too much about her survivability at high levels. So what do you think about the new Warframe Gyre? Are you also excited about this Warframe? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.